Good evening, everybody. It is another episode of Coach's Corner with Eck and King here on Monday, March 10th, 2025. We are now in conference championship week for the Big Ten and all the other major conferences. There's a lot of other conference tournaments going on. We're going to talk about all of it with Jimmy King and another surprise guest here on Coach's Corner right after this.
Coach's Corner with Coach Heck and the infamous Coach Patrick King. You're stuck with me, man.
I'm stuck.
You are stuck with me. I ain't going anywhere.
There's a lot of people that are jealous of me for sitting here, and there's some people that there's a little sympathy going on at the same time.
There's more people that are sympathetic to you. I'm just saying that much right now. Just remember what Ron Hecklinski said today. And you ain't that good. The scouting report said you were pretty good. You ain't that good. Oh, man. Are you kidding me?
Coach's Corner with Heck and King is proudly presented to you by Tony Letcher with Health Markets Insurance, On Funeral Homes of Mishawaka, Frick's Driving School of Mishawaka, and the Harbor Group Planned Wealth down in Anderson. And as always, we want to appreciate the great tunes of the Black Sedan Band, so here's a moment of silence to let you listen to them jam out. If you just love what you're hearing, check them out on YouTube, Black Sedan Band, or if you want to book them, visit blacksedanband.com. It has all their contact information there. Before we get started, make sure and like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and comment in the chat. Now, here's Heck and King.
Heck and King and our guy to my right, to Pat's right, the great umpire, the great Little League umpire.
Stop it.
Extraordinaire, Kenny Peterson.
Mayor of New Carlisle.
The mayor of New Carlisle. And they've never, they don't even have to run an election because he's the only guy ever running it every year.
Yeah.
And
It's like Saddam's Iraq.
no, it's I would probably go there. Wouldn't go that far, but I would.
You're not in the bath party?
I would just say that once we get into baseball in a couple weeks, we'll get into baseball. We'll have Kenny, do a clinic for us on umpiring and how to throw coaches, how to throw young family men, and their wives are watching the game, and Kenny gets into a heated discussion with a coach and has to toss him.
Just barely made the march, didn't he? He's already got one.
Anyway, What a beautiful day in South Bend today.
It is baseball weather, by the way, yes.
65, and we have a great show tonight. Chris Benedict, the head coach at Fort Wayne Carroll High School, won a sectional with a record of 11-15. Mm-hmm. And we're going to talk to Chris at about 7:30. We have one of the Fab Five with us, not one of the Betos, no, but one of the Fab Five for Michigan. Coach Patrick King coached Jimmy King in Texas back in the day, and we're going to have Jimmy on, right?
Yeah, exactly. He's going to be on with us a little bit after Chris, so we're making some adjustments, getting him on, but we've the King family, we're right in the middle of grandparents week, so to speak. So I spent the weekend in Nashville for a baby shower. That went very well for the daughter. And
you didn't run into my folks, did you? They were down there.
No, I did not see them. I was the shuttle service for all the ladies that couldn't find parking spots in downtown Nashville. So that went well. We got back last night. Now Scott is supposed to be a dad here either today or tomorrow. Matter of fact, he's with us for just a little bit. So my son is about to be a papa. So that's me a grandpa for the first time.
This is just a great day. There's nothing like having a grandchild, and there's nothing like being a dad. It just puts another part of your life that is so cool and so important, unless you don't really like your kid. Now, if you don't like your kid,
that's a good point.
You ain't got to do nothing with him.
Well, and in the traditional King tradition, my son is at an undisclosed location right now waiting. Well, his wife is.
What do you mean? I'm at the Horseshoe.
He's at the Horseshoe, and his wife's at the hospital doing whatever.
She's having the baby at the Horseshoe. Didn't you understand what he was saying?
411 Woody Hayes Drive.
Yes. Yes.
So good day. We've got a lot going on. You've got free agency and football going on.
Chris, I'm a kid. I'm a kid at Christmas, man. On free agency day in the NFL, I think the NFL free agency is one of the coolest things. Just like the NFL draft. Now, some people are going to watch the first round. They're going to see who their team gets. I watch every pick. I get to Mr. Irrelevant, the last pick in the draft, just because I think it is so cool. And I like listening to the draft experts. And half the kids that end up getting drafted will never make it in the not for long league.
Right.
But anyway, so we're coming off of a great weekend. And first of all, I think we should talk about that IU win on Saturday.
Big win.
Yeah, just a huge win against Ohio State. Now, I don't know, if you would say that was a great win or what kind of win it was, because I don't know what kind of a team Ohio State actually is. But I thought the Hoosiers had to win that game, and Trey Galloway and the Leo kid came out and defended and guarded, and IU came away with a win, right?
They did, and you're just going to have to tell me about it because I saw 0 of that game. I was busy. So you're going to have to.
Isn't this a sports show? Shouldn't you be watching the games?
That one's on you.
I mean, okay, first of all, we may have to Wally Pip you. And I don't want to say this because you know how to set the equipment up. But it's the biggest sectional weekend for high school basketball.
I know.
And you're letting John hang out.
I missed it.
And now you miss the IU game?
So I'm getting it now from both sides, considering I'm going to miss the regional this week too.
Kenny,
are you going to the ball game on Saturday?
I'm going to go to the Great Western Forum.
They might have a set of headphones over there that fit you.
I don't know. I don't think they can afford me.
You could come by and be the halftime.
I don't know if I could do that. I
could
come by
be
and
the
be
studio.
the halftime guest.
You could do the Shaq and Kenny and Barkley routine.
Yeah, because I'm going to go to the game. I think Warsaw obviously has rallied and played really good here late. They lost the Bricker kid the night of the Mishawaka game. I think they lost another player before that. So they're playing with their 2 best players short, and still coming out and just, winning some basketball games, which I think is just amazing. I think Coach Moore does just a great job, and I know, and how good Northridge is. I think that Shoal kid is so good.
Being an overtime,
the Bales kid too.
We've jumped to high school, but I was over at Elkhart today and was listening to some of the people talk about that championship game at Elkhart on Saturday night, and they said that, one of the things that I had talked to them about was everybody talked about how balanced Northridge was and how good they were. And then they find out in the overtime, their big kid fouls out, and all of a sudden they missed him.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's not a revelation, Patrick J. King. I mean, he's the best. He was the best player on the fly. I think the Shoal kid.
They were more balanced where they would not miss him, and they missed him.
I think the Shoal kid is a straight up player. Right. I mean, he's 6'7". He blocks anything that you put in front of him. He's got great hands. He's got great feet, and I think he's a straight up, really, really good player. And that would not be a revelation to me if he fouled out. And Northridge was in trouble at some point in time, because I think that's exactly probably what happened. I think Radiker's son, Cam Radiker, is a really nice player. I think Mason Bales is a really nice player.
Sure are.
But I think Shoal is not just a really nice player. I think he's a very, 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 very good player.
Yes. The shot that Justice hit at the end of regulation. I mean, what a gutsy shot that was. I mean, almost off balance, and he buried it to send it to overtime. And Warsaw made 14 threes Saturday, guys, in that win over Northridge, and they needed every one of them.
Yeah, and Matt Moore,
yeah.
And Matt Moore is an outstanding high school coach. And,
yes, he is.
And I know I'm not going to steal your thunder, Kenny, because I know you want to talk a little bit about, why high schools win sectional championships and what's one of the common denominators with most teams that would win a sectional championship. And the common denominator that you have is exactly right on at Warsaw.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, let's
What do
go.
you want me to get into it?
Yeah, let's talk about that for a minute, okay?
Pat wasn't even around, so Pat, you go to the bathroom. You got to take a leak. You got to take a leak.
I'm
gonna
give me a refill on my drink.
Okay.
I'm gonna rattle off some programs here that are playing in the regional this Saturday, okay?
Okay.
That these are programs that we hear a lot about. In 4A, Warsaw. 3A, Columbia City.
Well, what about Homestead and Carroll?
Homestead and Carroll.
What about Fishers?
Or Fishers. Basically, what I'm getting at here is this, guys. When you look at the teams that are playing in the regionals this week, all of these teams, with the exceptions of maybe, say, the private schools, all the public schools, in my opinion, have one common denominator, and that's a feeder system level program from the lower levels on up to the varsity. Tyler Layton brought up a great point Saturday night after the win over Jimtown, or over Bremen. And I asked him about the program. He goes, we've got kids playing from the kindergarten level now all the way up to the high school. Here's a guy who came in and in 2 years took basically a program that was struggling and has built it up. And he's built it for long-term success. You know, and there's going to be some schools after the season is over where they're going to be looking for head coaches. My thing, and this is the mayor's advice here, the mayor's address to all these superintendents and school board people who are looking for new coaches. The first thing you got to do is you got to have a hiring committee with people that are basketball people on there. You've got to identify the right guy to come in who's going to be a community guy, who's going to be willing to go to the elementary schools, who's going to be willing to say, this is my basketball program, and I'm going to run it from the lower levels on up to the varsity. And more than anything, you got to get buy-in from the community to say, this is our guy, this is who we want to take our program to the next level. Because there are programs, guys, that sit back. You know, these programs that are playing for the regional, they're experiencing March madness. The ones that have struggled for years to build anything, they discover March sadness. And for those programs that want to get out of March sadness, you need to find a way to get people excited about your program, find the right people to come in, have people on committees willing to listen, willing to bring in basketball people, because I'll give you guys a great example of a program that.
Please do.
Oh, absolutely. Jason Groves. Jason Groves has been in Triton for a long, long time. He was a standout basketball player at John Glenn, led Triton to a state title. They're going back to another regional with basically a team. He has nobody on that team taller than 6 foot. Okay? And they're playing in a regional because they win because they are taught fundamentals of the game and they do them well. Here's another example. Let's look at LaVille. I found this out at the sectional at Jimtown. Michael Edison, I guess, talking to Ron Jaramillo from the Pilot News, he told me that Michael Edison got ejected from the Whitco game. So he had to serve a 2-game suspension. So guess who got to coach the Washington game when LaVille went over there?
His dad.
His dad. And again, here's another example of a guy coming in, and LaVille was on life support when Michael Edison came there, their basketball program. They have now made basketball relevant in Lakeville and La Paz. I'll give this year was a blip, but most years they're pretty good. John Glenn, a school of about 600 and change. They have been known through the years to beat the likes of St. Joe and Marion and LaPorte and Penn and Plymouth, because they have developed a culture of winning and a culture of wanting to be good. And so my point is, all these programs that are not playing this weekend, that have had troubles having success for a long, long time, if you want to be part of this group, then you got to go through and show people that you're serious about it and bring in quality people that will build a program for the long term.
Okay. There's only one thing I'm going to say, and then you can have it.
Okay.
The next time you want to have the air like this, call in and be a guest, will you? I mean, for gosh sakes. Everything you said, Pat, Pat King and I have been doing for 100 years, right?
I'm trying to.
Yes.
Yeah.
But now I want to get your,
let me throw one at you in that. If you're talking about the interviewing committee now, how patient are you going to be with this coach? Because I know a coach right now that's been there 2 years, has started a very dynamic feeder program. It goes middle school all the way down to a Saturday league with the grade schools. He won 5 games again this year. So how patient?
And in the immortal words of Jumpin' Johnny Wilson, couldn't bust a grape.
How patient are you going to be when your 2 best seniors decide they don't want to come to summer workouts? Are you going to cut them or are you going to keep them? because here's the thing we got to understand, and we talked about this with Mark Johnson at Plymouth the other night. If you permit it, you promote it.
Right.
So what he did was said, look, you've got to come to summer workouts because that's when we get our teams established. This is when we're working with our feeder programs as well. If you don't come to summer workouts, then I'm going to have trouble keeping you in November.
Right.
And that's what he did. Well, now everybody's mad because he cut their best 2 players. But,
Hey, and at the end of the day, he gone. He gone.
Yeah.
Right.
And
He gone.
are they going to keep him?
No.
Probably not.
He gone.
So, but yet he spent every Saturday morning in that building with, and his assistants did too, with the grade school age kids running at one of the biddy ball programs.
Well, see, and that's the thing is that we don't see that.
I know.
We don't see that.
But so you got the season ticket holders that on Friday night, they're still getting their brains beat in, but yet he's running, he's got the junior highs, he's got the grade schools going for the feeder program. But as you and I know, that's probably going to be for the next coach, isn't it?
Good. I mean, good for the next coach, man.
Well, think about everything you did your last year at Mishawaka. You ran, you told some of the seniors, adios, because we're not going to do it that way. And you brought up these freshmen and sophomores, and they, you worked with them. They got their brains beat in, but by the time you went home, sat in your easy chair, and the next guy came in, juniors and seniors did pretty well.
Won 2 sectionals, won a regional, almost won a semi-state, and he coached them up. And your point is really well taken. But Kenny, I have to say something to you. You're acting like Michael Edison is the greatest thing since sliced bread.
No.
Before Michael Edison, before whoever was before him, Larry Radecki, who was the head coach at LaVille, was the Mike Krzyzewski of high school basketball and had a great program at LaVille.
Oh, my gosh.
John Glenn, on a good night and a bad Adams team, could beat Adams. On a good night and a bad Adams team.
Right.
Okay? John Glenn never beat Mishawaka when I was there.
No.
And then John Glenn dropped Mishawaka because he couldn't beat us. So right. I think, everything you said is pretty good, but I don't think it's as easy to put into play as you said it. And I don't think that hiring committees that people put together have like no agendas, right, but to hire the best coach, because they do have agendas. They know somebody, right, someone's called them, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm. And here's something that's going to change too. And you're going to get some old school interview people, and they're going to use the same questions they've used for the last 25 years about what are you going to do about a feeder program. And they're going to,
sure,
Heck and I are going to tell them exactly what we want to do. But one of the things they're going to also have to add with this new rule, what are you going to do with transfers?
Right.
What happens when your sophomores and juniors decide that they don't like the way you do things? They don't like that you make them cut their hair. They don't like that you don't buy them shoes. They don't like that they didn't get playing time as a sophomore or whatever. And then the coach down the road says, hey, you come to my place, I'll start you.
Oh, sure. Then it becomes
okay. Now you got. So we're going. Coaches are going to have to recruit their own players, just like you see in college, to a certain extent. You're going to have to recruit your own and have these exit meetings with them, like right now, because all these teams that just lost sectionals last week, they're talking to their players today and tomorrow and the next day, and they're getting ready for baseball or running track and saying, look, here's what we have plans for you next year, and we would like for you to make and come back and play for us next year, and then you're going to give them reasons why.
So the people that are complaining about where things are at right now, is this when you just kind of say to them, be patient?
No, here's what you say to them. Listen, I'm running the show. If you don't like me running the show, then you come in and run the show. And if you don't like the way I do it, then either you get out or I'm getting out. Mm-hmm. But I am the coach, right, and I'm running the show. There's never been any negotiations with, right, me, and I'm pretty sure that's how you feel. Mm-hmm. It's not negotiable.
Right.
If your kid can't bust a grape and he ain't playing and he ain't good enough to play, or he didn't work out in the summertime, or he didn't come to workouts, because you can't use that against kids anymore. Because those summer workouts, those fall workouts, those are all voluntary.
Right.
Mm-hmm. You can't say you didn't come to workouts, so boom, I'm cutting you. No, you can't say that. But, everybody might know. But at the end of the day, the coach has the power to pick who he wants to coach, who he wants to be on the team. And I mean, ideally, he should have it to the point to where there is an explanation,
right,
and he can sit down with the family and say, "Hey, this is why."
Mm-hmm.
He didn't get any better.
Right.
His skill development wasn't any better.
Hey, you want to talk about some of these regionals we got coming up this
Beautiful,
week?
man. Beautiful. Crown Point beats Lake Central. That wasn't much of a game. Portage drills Maryville. Maryville's kind of in a funk. Riley, I saw Laporte beat Penn. And I thought Laporte played really, really well to beat Penn. But Riley and their athleticism, Riley just, beats Laporte by 16. Warsaw, we talked about Warsaw already. That's a heck of a basketball game, man.
Yep, I watched just a little bit of that. That Champions website that they have for the HSA is great right now. And this coming weekend will be the same because you can point and click and you can watch every single game on there for free.
For free. It's
free.
It's a mandate from the HSA. They don't charge until you get to the semi-state.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
and you mentioned over at Fort Wayne, Carroll. That was really an upset. They weren't supposed to win that, I don't think.
Well, no, they were 11-15, and we talked with and we're going to talk with Chris Benedict. Chris Benedict told Joey Bradburn that he thought they could win that, and they did. Homestead, a close game with Fort Wayne. Harrison beats Kokomo at Kokomo.
Right. But Harrison was the favorite.
Yes.
That was an interesting game. Did you know what happened in that game on Saturday night?
I did not know.
There was a bench clearing brawl. 3 players from Harrison got ejected from the game, and they'll have to sit out on Saturday.
Oh my.
Yeah, it was all over social media that this happened. That a big brouhaha in the third quarter, and players left the bench, and 3 from Harrison will be they got hooked.
Well, Fisher's got challenged a little bit, but in the end they still won their sectional. They're still undefeated, number 1. The big sectional was there at Muncie Central. Anderson got beat
Friday night. I was there.
You saw that.
I was there.
And then Mount Vernon had to come back and turn around and play Greenfield 2 overtimes.
Yeah, 2 overtimes. Mount Vernon's really good. Mount Vernon has a guard, Luke Ertl, who's already committed to Purdue. He's about a 6'3" junior. He's a lefty. He's a guard that you and I would really love. He just, those left-handed guards can get in the lane. They shoot it off the back of their palm. They have that little runner game. They have that floater game, and he's deep. They have 2. They have a 6'7", 6'6" kid that control the inside. And Joey really coaches him up well. And I mean, I have not talked with him as to how that game went to overtime. I saw Mullins a little bit on Friday night play against Muncie Central. He's a really good player. But here's the deal: I was sitting with Doug Mitchell in that game, and Mitch and I had a great time. But I had to ask. So when you got to ask somebody this question, I don't think it bodes well. I said, Mitch, what number is Mullins?
Which one is he?
Yeah, well, I mean, he's going to UConn.
Right.
I should be able to say, hey, that's Mullins, man. He's really good. Mm-hmm. I didn't know what number Mullins was.
Know which one he was.
I mean, for a quarter.
Interesting.
And then once the game got into an open floor game, then Mullins was really good.
You could tell which one he was.
Yeah, I mean, when it was a half court game, I really couldn't tell that was Mullins. Lawrence North, Jimmy Etherington. His team, they come away with another sectional beating North Central. Brownsburg is, just a game over 500.
Yeah, and that was interesting because Avon was the favorite team. They were number 2, and they lost the first night, I think, to Brownsburg, and that was the third game they had played. So that was kind of the rubber game. They had beaten each other. Ben Davis always shows up at tourney time. Mooresville was a surprise down at Decatur Central. And then we get down.
I mean, I got to think Terre Haute North beating Bloomington South at Bloomington was probably an upset too, right?
It was a toss-up. Whiteland was an upset. Jeffersonville was as expected, and Evansville Harrison. Wrights was the favorite, and Harrison, that was a little bit of a miniature upset. Go look there at 3A. East Chicago.
Well, so how about we go through the regional pairings in 4A first? Then?
Okay, sure.
You got Portage, Crown Point. I mean, I think that's going to be a good game, but Clint Swan at Crown Point, right?
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, Portage has been shooting the ball extremely well. That's going to be a great matchup.
So Crown Point is
Looking at-
+8 in that game, or -8?
They're favored.
Okay, South Bend Riley against Warsaw. It's in South Bend, but man, Warsaw really surprised me. Luke Bricker's out; he's our best player. They lost another player, and Matt Moore just keeps churning them out.
It's tourney time. They got a whole week to get ready.
Yeah, I like Riley against them, and Tyrese Jones. I saw him play in the semifinal game, and he scores when he wants to. He doesn't. He defers now to Marvin Schindler. He defers to Brandon Williams. But when he wants to score, Tyrese Jones can just go score.
He can go score.
How big will tempo be in that game Saturday?
I think
that's tempo is going to be really the key if Warsaw can make it a half-court game.
Well, so what will happen in that game is Riley will try and force the tempo. They'll play full court basketball, and Warsaw will be good enough to handle their pressure and maybe score off of a little bit of that full court pressure just by running sets and press breakers.
Right. Exactly. Here's one I thought was interesting. Homestead and Carroll, two Fort Wayne schools, have to go over to Logansport to play their ball game.
Yeah, and Carroll and Homestead beat Carroll by about 12 earlier in the season. And that was later on in the season. So we'll have a chance to talk to Benny here and find out what his thoughts are coming back and playing Homestead again. Will Fishers run the table?
Well, they supposedly it should be an easy weekend for them here. Harrison's, they're not bad, but I don't think they can play with Fishers.
Well, they're 19-6, and then the southern part of that regional, Mount Vernon, Joey Bradburn's team will go against Steve Lynch's Brownsburg team at 13-12. Right off the bat, just on numbers, you got to give it to Mount Vernon, right?
Right, but Brownsburg just beat two pretty good teams last week, two top 10 teams.
I think Lawrence North should take care of Mooresville. I would say Jeffersonville over Evansville Harrison.
Yeah, you got some teams that are just happy to be there.
Yeah, and then Terre Haute North over Whiteland.
That one's actually going to be closer than they anticipate. But I think with that game being down at Washington, there's a lot of travel involved in some of these games. That's for sure.
Yeah, and that does play a part in it. That does play a part in it. Then you go to 3A, right? Evansville Central takes down Gary West by 11. Hanover Central, which is a really good team, beats River Forest by 17. South Bend St. Joe, and we've sung the praises of the Indians / Huskies. We've sung the praises of the Indians.
I still call them the Joeys, but go ahead.
And they play really well, but from what I saw, Chase Knesny did not have a great game.
Right.
Elijah King played really well. Ethan Roseman played really well. And when you're going to go up against a team, a Culver Military Academy team, coached by Coach Galloway.
Very structured.
Just outstandingly prepared against a St. Joe team.
Those two teams played twice. In the two games, the total point spread was 3.
Yeah, no, exactly.
They had a one pointer in the last game, in the season game a month ago, and then 2 points this last weekend.
Columbia City beats Tippy Valley
in overtime.
In overtime.
Kid hits a 3 from the volleyball line to send it to overtime, and then they win it. Yeah, win it at the end.
Somebody said, and that's the kid that's going to Army.
I think so.
Yeah, he's going to Army. They said he has several late game, either game winners or game tying baskets. He is a definite late game threat.
Well, we're going to get a chance to see him at the Great Western Forum because St. Joe will tip off against Columbia City with Warsaw tipping off against Riley in the second game, I believe.
And we'll have the game on broadcastsport.net.
You're doing both, you're doing both of them?
Doing it both on the ISA Champions Network.
There you go.
Pre-game show at 12:30.
Since Coach King won't be around, should I sit by my phone expecting a call?
You should be. I would think if you just happen to show up in between games, that probably let you be the studio guest. Like I said, you could be Kenny, Shaq, and Barkley all rolled into one.
There you go.
I could do that. Yeah, I know I could do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we move on. Black Hawk, who's had to move up several times, just drills Leo. James Blackman. So I mean, the amount of close games in this sectional finals were amazing. Marion and New Haven. I mean, 92-80. Who's guarding anybody there?
I mean, that's an overtime
That's
game.
fun.
Those
That's
are
fun
games.
basketball. Yeah.
Well, the next one, Logansport, Mechanical, who's a slow down game, they score 88 against Logansport.
Yeah, and so I think, Kenny, to your point earlier, hey,
do we need a shot clock?
No. Get those young kids playing, get them working. They get into a shootout, they can handle it because they got a feeder system. 3 kids foul out. Go get the 4th graders.
Yeah.
Get the 4th graders. Bring them up.
That's funny. Well, I look here at Delta. There's a road game for you. Delta beats Newcastle at Newcastle.
Yeah, and Guerin Catholic, Pete Smith started that program.
They just keep going. They just go on. It's always Delta and Guerin. They're always there, no matter what their records are. Attucks beat, who was the good team?
Attucks beat Cathedral.
Yes, Cathedral.
And Attucks beat Cathedral in the semifinal round.
Attucks is the real deal.
Yeah.
You could pencil them in for the finals, right? I'm thinking Attucks and Guerin Catholic. Boy, that would be a dandy if that happens in the semi-state.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then North.
We saw Northview at
Speedway.
Mishawaka.
Yeah, and they're really good. New Pal beats Roncalli by 11. Jennings County, who cares? Brownstown Central, who cares? Because David Benner isn't playing anymore. Princeton, who cares? Evansville Memorial beats Central. So let's take a look at these regionals.
The Brownstown Silver Creek game was a good one. That was a buzzer beater too. That was down at Charlestown.
Let's take a look at these regionals. St. Joe against Columbia City. Now I would automatically say St. Joe, but have you guys seen Columbia City?
I just saw the highlights of what I saw the other night.
What'd you see?
Just a shot at the end there, and I saw a little bit against Northwood when they beat Northwood at the pit. Columbia City, I think, has the capabilities of giving St. Joe a battle.
Well, Matt Schaus has had what was interesting the other night was Matt upsets, Northwood, and the same night his brother Drew gets beat by Brownsburg down at Avon.
Yeah, no,
there was a kind of a give.
It's a wash. It's kind of a wash for the Schaus family.
But definitely, I think, guys, a home court advantage definitely to the Indians/Huskies, as you refer to them.
Stay here in South Bend.
Stay here in South Bend. Sleep in your own beds. You don't have to make a long bus trip. Just a short trip.
You're right.
Short trip over to the west side, and definitely we've seen it in the past, guys. St. Joe brings a lot of folks when they get to the regional and the semi-state, especially if it's here locally. So expect a lot of St. Joe colors in the Great Western Forum on Saturday afternoon.
If I can find my letter jacket, I'm going to wear it.
Ooh.
The
thing is that
I got to go back. I got to find which girl I gave it to. That's what I got to do.
You make some phone calls.
I got to make some phone calls.
That's so sad. Can
I have my jacket back?
Are you probably for sale on eBay?
Where are you going to? You're going to have to. You should probably do that from down here. You can do that with you let Monica sit there and go, "Hey, I need to call a couple people."
I'm gonna give Monica the numbers.
Let her call and say,
let her call. Hey, listen.
That'll go over well.
I know you used to hang out with Ronnie Hack. Listen, can he have his jacket back for this weekend? East Chicago Central, Hanover Central, probably a very disciplined Hanover Central team against a very athletic East Chicago Central team.
Hanover Central's been pretty good. They've got a good group of athletes coming through there.
Well, Bryant Klaus basically built that program at Hanover before he left to go to Portage, and the cupboard wasn't bare when he left Cedar Lake, that's for sure.
So one of my favorite coaches is the JV coach at Hanover Central, Chandler Spring. Chandler worked with me. I think you were gone already. You were at the career center, forging your career at the center. But Chandler Spring is just an outstanding young coach. He's the assistant coach at Hanover Central. So it doesn't surprise me that Hanover Central is good because I think he's an outstanding coach. At LaPel, Mechanical against James Blackman. How about thinking of Marion as a 3A school after all these years?
Well, and I was talking to John Burris, the Mechanical coach. He and I were together at North Miami years ago, and he was won a state championship at Southwood, but it reminds you of the old Peru Logan Sport sectional back in the one class era, because the Logan Sport winner would have to go to Marion for the regional. Well, here you are. Yeah. Here's Mechanical playing Marion.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's like who
That'd be
worst
like
class
Wapahani.
basketball. Worst class basketball, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Addicts again against Northview, and we've seen Northview, a nice, really nice team, but Indianapolis Addicts has too much for them.
I would think so.
Garen Catholic against New Pal.
That's going to be a ball game.
Yeah, I think that will
flip a coin on that one.
Yeah, I think that will be really good. Jennings County again, 12, under 500 against a Princeton team.
Princeton's pretty good. They've only lost 2.
So then, if you're looking at this and looking at 3A, you might say maybe St. Joe coming out of the north and maybe Addicts coming out of the south.
Very possible.
Possibly.
Which could be a heck of a state championship game, and St. Joe in the state championship game 2 straight years.
Don't discount Delta. Don't discount them at all. They've given St. Joe some fits over the years.
Yeah, I would never discount Delta.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, on paper, when you look on paper.
Yeah. The North is clearly St. Joe's to lose.
Yeah, exactly. And just a good group of seniors, a good group of juniors, just good basketball players. And we've had Eric Gaff on the show before, and Eric Gaff is an outstanding high school basketball coach.
Yeah.
And if there's anybody to work with post players, Eric's 6-10.
Right.
Great lineage in the coaching family for the Gaffs.
Who's his assistant? Big Swanee's there too.
Yeah, and Luke Fisher, who played over at Bethel,
I know,
is his assistant.
Oh, they've got some good
6'8", 6'9"
in there.
2A.
Yeah.
The Jimmies.
Yes.
I mean, I think about 10 minutes ago you anointed the Jimmies as state champions because Tyler Layton is amazing, right?
Hey,
go ahead, say it. Go ahead.
2 years they're sectional champions.
Well, the nice thing is
well.
they get to go to Triton and play a very, very good Westview team.
Well, Westview's always been a good basketball.
Yep.
I mean, good basketball program, good basketball city.
There's
the
nothing else to do out
Amish.
there.
No, the Amish park their buggies at a hitching post and go into the game.
Yeah.
They tie them up to the backstop of home plate.
Yes.
I've seen it.
You know, when Clay won
seen it.
when Clay won the state title in '94, one of the toughest games they had in that whole tournament was against Westview.
And who?
Tommy DeBates.
And who?
Who
Troy Neely?
Troy Neely was the coach of Westview.
Troy Neely.
Yeah.
I think Troy Neely was playing for Westview back then.
'94.
Yeah, he might have been.
I think he was playing for Westview back then. So you got the Jimmies against Westview. You got Lures against 21st Century.
Think about that. They're playing at North Judson, and you've got Bishop Lures and 21st Century.
Yeah.
That should be a culture shock right there.
No, exactly. Exactly.
You talk about a culture shock.
And I shall not give our number to the show out here because any of those parents would love to call us. Western Boone, again, under 500, 11-14, playing the Raiders of Wapahani.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Weibo is happy to be there.
Yeah. But I'm going to tell you, I'm going to tell you who else is playing pretty good is Manchester. Eli Henson's got Manchester playing really well.
Squires?
Yeah.
22-2 against Cliff Hawkins.
Cliff Hawkins, yeah.
Tipton ball club.
And they've been good ever since Cliff's been there. He's just done a really great job with them. Park Heritage down at Martinsville should be a walk on Centerville. Centerville's happy to be there. University, that should be a good game. Triton Central and University.
University.
This is not one of their better teams, and yet there they are.
Well, no, who's on the roster? Guys moving in left and right.
Yeah.
There is no feeder system at University.
No.
You know what the feeder system is?
Carmel
NIL.
Yeah.
NIL. It's a high school level.
It's the Western version of Carmel Catholic is what it is.
Yeah, and I don't know who would come out of that South. Linton has come out before against Providence.
Right now, the team to beat, believe it or not, is South Ripley.
Yeah, 23-1 against Forest Park.
I think they're the highest rated team in the South right now. That's still standing. And I have been to South Ripley several times. That is
And you've lived to tell about it. How about that?
That is in Versailles. Now in Indiana, it's pronounced Versailles.
Really?
Not Versailles,
Yes.
like
That's Versailles, right on 421 and US 50.
So when you look at coming out of the north, could be either Wapahani or a Manchester Possibly. It's not going to be Jimtown.
Number 1 is Wapahani, right?
Yeah,
now.
Wapahani maybe against South Ripley in your state matchup, and Wapahani was down there last year. Remember the tornado went through Selma?
That's right. Yeah, they had all kinds of drama.
Yeah, no. So 2A shapes up to be pretty good. 1A Couts. Tri-County. I mean, obviously, Couts got to be pretty good at 22-4.
They're very solid.
Couts,
very solid ball club.
You've
very
got
good in the PCC.
Yeah, that whole northern those 4 teams, those are all walks. So you could they don't even have to play the games.
Really, Triton against Lakewood Park, obviously. Clinton Prairie against Central Catholic.
Believe it or not, this is Clinton Prairie's 20-point favorite.
What? So tell me,
how does that happen?
So tell me, boys, what's interesting about the Daleville-Monroe Central matchup?
Daleville's got a lady for a coach,
Ashley Fouch,
and if you think they were a huge surprise down there. They were not supposed to win. They only had won 6 games going into the tournament. Then they go 3-0. They're up to 9 wins.
Yeah, no, and with a female coach, Ashley Fouch, she's also the athletic director. They beat Northfield 64-60. Your friend and my friend, the great Terry Turner, the baseball coach at Anderson High School for a long, long time, took the head baseball job at Daleville a couple years ago and won maybe 3 state championships at Dale, Tucky. And so I think that's an interesting deal when we have a female coach.
Real quick, Ted, getting back to that Couts Tri-County game. Tri-County last year had Elkhart Christian on the ropes at the regional at North Judson, and Elkhart Christian, and Christian hit a 3 at the end to win that thing. So
they're returning.
They're returning to a regional, and that could be an interesting game down at Judson. And the Couts is, like I say, 22-4, won the Porter County tournament. Very solid ball club. Kevin Duzan does a great job there.
Well, yeah, and so I'm thinking that Liberty Christian, coached by my ex-player Norman Anderson, at 17-8 and played half of his schedule at 17-8 were 3A and 4A schools.
3A and 4A schools. At Martinsville, Hauser is a heavy favorite against Indianapolis Lutheran this year. Lutheran was a surprise winner. Lagodi, you got Clay City. That's a double-digit favorite over Northeast Du Bois. And Orleans and Christian Academy is a toss-up. Christian Academy is right there in New Albany area, and that's the Catholic or the private school for the New Albany Floyd area down there. But you're right, Liberty Christian, I think, and Hauser. Well, if they get a match up there in the semi-state 2 weeks from now, that should be a pretty good ball game.
And like you see in the movie Hoosiers, the buses will be leading the whole caravan of people out of town to all these places. And
those little 1A schools, especially in the South. Oh, those games will be very competitive.
I mean, heck, you could go to Couts on Saturday afternoon and get anything you want, because I think everybody from Couts is going to be making the trip to Judson.
We could rob the bank.
But here's
the hardware store and everything. Yeah.
Here's the thing I'm going to tell you, Kenny. I don't even know where Couts is at, so I'm not going there.
I didn't either till like 3 years ago.
That's your schedule.
It's a nice little town about 15 miles south of Valpo on 49. Just like 3 minutes. That it's a nice town. Well, there's a place on the way there that north of Couts, that's a pretty good eating establishment, and other things we could discuss off air.
Yeah, hey, so we're going to take a break here, and then we're going to come back with some college basketball news a little bit, and Chris Benedict will join us at 7:30. Jimmy King will join us after that. So why don't you take us to break, Coach King?
All right.
Medicare plans can be confusing, but they don't have to be. I'm Tony Letcher, licensed insurance agent. I can help you compare your options because I'm appointed with many nationally recognized carriers. With my help, you can find the coverage that fits your needs and budget. I don't want you to be my client today. I want you to be my client forever. Call Tony Ledger today to schedule your free consultation or visit tledger.com.
Dealing with the loss of a loved one can leave you with lots of unanswered questions and stress. At Hahn Funeral Homes of Mishawaka, we're here to help. Our focus has always been on the families that we serve. At Hahn Funeral Homes, we stand ready to meet your needs and exceed your expectations when selecting a funeral home. Our experienced funeral directors and staff will be there for you every step of the way for all of your funeral service needs. Han Funeral Homes is located at 505 West 8th Street in downtown Mishawaka. You can call them anytime at 574-255-1474 or stop in to get all your answers from our local funeral professionals about all your funeral needs. Han Funeral Homes, a family serving families. Are you sick and tired of relying on somebody else to get you around? Are you coming to Indiana from a place where you just never needed to learn how to drive? Well, if you're looking to hit the road with confidence, Frick's Driving School in Mishawaka has been helping drivers of all ages gain the skills they need for a lifetime of safe driving. With experienced, patient instructors like Mr. Coach Pat King and flexible scheduling, Frick's makes it easy for you to learn to drive easy and stress-free. Whether you're a first-time driver or need a refresher like Mr. Coach Ron Heklinski, Frick's has you covered. Plus, for just $65, they offer the state driving exam in-house. No need to go anywhere else. Visit fricksdrivered.com or call 574-256-0650 to get started today. If you're nearing retirement, or if you're like me and you're not nearing retirement but you still want to get your money right for retirement, the Harbor Group Planned Wealth has you covered with the ability to answer questions like: what specific steps should I take before retiring? When should I draw Social Security? How do I manage investment risk? How much will health insurance cost if I retire? If I'm over 62, which I still am not, how much money can I earn part-time without affecting my Social Security and or my pension? And is it really possible to get a raise if I retire? If you want all those questions and more answered, call the Harbor Group at 855-5-HARBOR, HARBER, or you can contact VP Jessica Rhodes at 765-393-1074, or visit the website harborgroup.com. Securities and advisory services are offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC.
Hey, we are back. We're going to listen to a little bit of music with Black Sedan Pan, one of our sponsors.
Out of Birmingham, Alabama, man, from the South. Wow. Could listen to them all night, man. So we're going to head into college basketball a little bit, bracketology, some games, what we think. IU has a game, and people have told me that even if IU would have lost that game, that they thought IU might be in still.
Really?
Yes. But I'm in a little. I don't know if that would have been true, but I think IU just took care of their business again. But I thought the quote by Mike Woodson said, "Well, maybe I retired too soon." I got some good news and some bad news for you, Woody. I don't think you made that call on if you retiring or not, and it doesn't. I don't care if you went 10 in a row. You're not coming back.
I think you just put a little jab in. What do you think?
Yeah, and I think that if his guys, if his guys had a little bit more of that gumption in the middle of the season, then maybe they wouldn't be in this position, because I think they're talented.
Yeah, they're talented, right. And all that did was basically give them a chance to have a Wednesday off where they didn't have to play on Wednesday. It gave them, they're now the 9 seed, and so they'll play at noon on Thursday against Oregon in the 8-9 game.
So where are these games at, Indy?
They're all in Indianapolis.
Oh, man. Are you going?
We could probably go Wednesday and Thursday. I think we've got plans here. We got a semi-state to do on that weekend, so we could probably go Wednesday, Thursday, Friday if we want.
Yeah, I'm working. I'm a working man.
Yeah, you could work. Now,
why don't you go? Why don't you go over that?
We could.
Schedule.
Your number 1 seeds in the Big Ten right now, Michigan State, and we saw them on Sunday. Take care of Michigan. So what that did, you got 1 Michigan, 2 Maryland, 3 Michigan, and 4 UCLA. So those guys have a 2-day break. They don't have to play till Friday. So Wednesday, your ball games are, you got the bottom 6 teams. You got in the early game, you've got Northwestern and Minnesota. You've got Iowa, Ohio State, and Southern Cal and Rutgers. and
Wow.
those teams play Wednesday.
Now, okay. Do you have any affinity one way or the other for any of those teams?
I don't even care.
Yeah.
Those are the worst teams that made the tournament. So that they're going to have to play 1, 2, 3, 4. They'd have to play 5 games to get to the finals.
What about you, Kenny? You got any affinity for any of those?
I don't, but I would love to go to that one day just to say I've actually been to one.
The one thing
just because
notice,
of the basketball.
They mentioned that Rutgers has 2 guys that are potential pros.
Yeah,
that are playing.
One of them's Ron Harper's kid.
Yeah, Harper's younger son. They're the 11 seed playing the 14 USC team, and the one thing I'm going to notice is that now the games, somebody's going to have to wear white jerseys. How many games we see this year where nobody had a white jersey on? They had red versus blue or green versus purple or something like that.
Yeah.
Now you can watch the game and see which team is the better seed because they're supposed to wear white and throughout the rest of the tournament. Like I said, Thursday IU plays Oregon. Then the 5 seed is Wisconsin. They play the winner Northwestern Minnesota. I mean, I could go on and on. Illinois is the 7 seed. I like Illinois. Illinois has everybody back healthy. It would not surprise me to see Illinois win that game, turn around and play Maryland the next night and beat Maryland and end up in the Final Four against Michigan. And it wouldn't surprise me a bit to see if Illinois comes out of that bottom bracket. I think they could beat Maryland and Michigan and end up in that Sunday afternoon final against, who knows? Right now, we'll just say Michigan State.
Let's hope that nobody's kissing the floor in the middle at the end of the game when that.
Well, they just do that for the home games.
So let me ask you this question: where's Purdue shaking out at?
You kind of wonder after what
Purdue's
happened
down at the bottom. They're the 6th seed. They play Thursday. They're the late game. IU plays at noon, and Purdue plays at like 9 at night. If things stay on the schedule, they would play the winner of the Rutgers USC winner on Thursday night, with Michigan waiting on them on the next night. So Purdue's in the same bracket with Michigan down with the 3-seeded team. Is how that works out. And which Purdue team's going to show up? You just never know.
Yeah, and which IU team's going to show up because IU just played Oregon maybe a week ago or 10 days ago at Oregon, correct?
Right. And the thing is, like you said, everything's in Indianapolis. Here's UCLA playing in Indianapolis. And one of the things I thought about that, if you watched TV yesterday, in the women's finals, we're also in Indianapolis. The final game, the championship game in Indianapolis, was Southern Cal and UCLA.
Wow.
2 teams that are like, backyard neighbors in Los Angeles. They had to come to Indianapolis to play each other, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, well, if it wasn't for money, they wouldn't be in the Big Ten. So it's there,
That's true. So that's
the big deal.
That's the Big Ten. We were going to talk real quick. Let's talk about the ACC. How about the Notre Dame Irish? They had 4 overtime games Saturday,
yes.
And I think they've won 2 in a row. Marcus Burton plays, what'd we say, 102 minutes?
He was like 53 minutes.
He played 53 of the 60 minutes, scored 43 points, and still fouled out. But I think one of the things it did was it got them a little bit better seed. Now, Notre Dame has to play tomorrow. They play at 2 o'clock. They're the 12 seed they kept 15 teams. So 15 of the ACC teams are in.
Wow.
Now, if they would have lost, they beat Cal. Cal is the 15. So would that have made any difference? Would they have been bumped out at all? Who knows? But they play Pitt tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Pitt's the 13. So actually,
That's a winnable game.
Actually, Notre Dame is the 12 versus the 13. They've actually got a pretty good bracket. We were talking about that earlier. On Wednesday, they would have to play North Carolina, who's the 5 seed, with the 4 seed Wake Forest waiting on them. So, if they can go on a little run, they've got Carolina and Wake Forest waiting on them to get to a Friday game that they would probably end up having to play Duke.
Yep.
So good for Notre Dame. I mean, they had a nice
little celebration in the locker room for Coach Shrewsbury. They threw some water on him and made him feel really good. It's been a rough year. It's been a rough year for the Irish because they've been in winnable games and had leads late in games and just didn't close games out.
Right.
Now, and we don't know this. I mean, we don't know that Marcus Burton is coming back to Notre Dame.
Right.
I mean, that's the unknown now in college athletics because there could be 5 or 6 schools that are going to offer Marcus Burton major money to transfer and have a chance to win. In Marcus's first 2 years here at Notre Dame, there hasn't been much winning.
Right.
No. But if the group stays together and you got Jalen Harrelson,
you've got some people coming in,
and a couple other really, really good recruits coming in, can they become a force in the ACC? Back in the old days, you know what I would have said? Hell yeah, they could.
Mm-hmm.
But this ain't the old days because kids can up and move anywhere.
Well, and you're talking about a high school recruiting class that is one of the top 5 or 6 in the nation. But like you said, in today's world, does that make any difference? They're going to be bringing freshmen in and thinking, okay, I'm going to get major minutes, but we see all these other teams that go out and are getting juniors and seniors. So now you've got 21, 22-year-old players that get playing your brand new 18 or 19-year-olds.
Right. Yeah, but here's the deal on that. Jalen Harrelson as an 18 or 19-year-old could play against any 22-year-old anyway.
Yeah,
so,
we've seen that with Duke. Duke's got a couple nice freshmen. Can Notre Dame do that next year?
But will Notre Dame be able to keep Marcus Burton? I think that is the question that needs to be answered. And I would think in a couple of weeks. Because I don't know when the open period for getting into the portal is. I don't know the dates.
I don't either. Man.
But once those dates start and the portal opens up, you'll know. I mean, is Marcus Burton going to be in the portal or is he not going to be in the portal?
I would think it has to be in April once the tournament's over, wouldn't you?
For sure.
Yeah,
for sure. But so we're going to be able, And I think obviously when you take a look at Notre Dame, and I don't know, I mean I think Micah Shrewsbury got a 4 or 5 year contract, and I don't think that Notre Dame has ever fired a basketball coach before his contract ran out, because I don't think Notre Dame puts that much emphasis, to be quite honest with you, on basketball.
Did they let McLeod run his contract out when he was here?
That I don't know, but I just don't.
They brought in Matt Doherty.
Yeah, for a cup of coffee
for 1 year.
Yeah, and if Matt Doherty's deal doesn't work out the way it worked out, who's to say Matt Doherty wouldn't have established or put together a really nice program at Notre Dame?
Right.
Well, in the ACC, you've got Duke is the number 1 seed. Louisville, with a brand new coach, is the 2 seed. Clemson is the 3 seed, and Wake Forest is the 4. And, we've heard a lot about Duke. You've heard some Clemson, a little bit of Louisville because they're relatively close. But the quiet one around there is Wake Forest, because you always hear about Carolina. Carolina's the 5. And we've heard the publicity about how they've struggled this year. They've struggled to be a 5 seed. That's still not too bad. But how strong is the ACC? Because then when you're talking SMU's the 6, and we've said that the ACC's down this year. I think right there shows you if Carolina's the 5, then I think the ACC's got some issues. So check and see if you got something from Chris on there.
Yeah, I do not. So
okay.
we'll
text
see.
him, because I think he just texted me and my phone's the camera.
Oh, okay.
Hey, real quick, Big 12, Houston. Houston could win it all. They're the number 1 seed in the Big 12. Texas Tech is very good. They're the 2.
You're talking Houston winning the whole
I think they could win the whole thing.
The return of Phi Slam at Jama?
I call it what you want. Arizona and BYU.
I mean, does Chris have the address to?
Yeah, he should be able to just point and click.
Okay.
He should be able to just point and click on that. So the Big East. Of course, I've got to talk about the Big East real quick, because my Butler Bulldogs, they play Wednesday. They're the 9 seed against Providence. As soon as you say Big East, you got to talk St. John's.
Yeah, and the job that Rick Pitino's done.
Pitino in 2 years has put them on the map again. They filled Madison Square Garden. St. John's is the 1 seed. Creighton is the 2 seed. UConn is 3. And then you got Xavier and Marquette as the 4 seeds. So those are some of the Big East things.
They've taken St. John's taken a little bit of Hurley's thunder there at UConn, taking a little spotlight away from them.
I think you're right. So I tell you what, let's take another break. We're going to try to get Chris on here, Coach Benedict, and we will we'll get to him, and we'll get right back here.
Finding private health insurance can be stressful. What if it didn't have to be? I'm Tony Letcher, licensed insurance agent. I prefer to personally meet with my clients so I can get a better understanding of your needs and budget. I can even review your current coverage. I don't want you to be my client today. I want you to be my client forever. Call Tony Letcher today to schedule your free consultation or visit tletcher.com.
The loss of a loved one can leave you with lots of unanswered questions and stress. At Hahn Funeral Homes in Mishawaka, we're here to help. Our focus has always been on the families that we serve. At Hahn Funeral Homes, we stand ready to meet your needs and exceed your expectations when selecting a funeral home. Our experienced funeral directors and staff will be there for you every step of the way for all your funeral service needs. Hahn Funeral Homes is located at 505 West 8th Street in downtown Mishawaka. You can call us anytime at 574-255-1474 or stop in to get your answers from our local funeral professionals about all your funeral needs. Hahn Funeral Homes, a family serving families. Hey, are you in the great state of Indiana and need your driver's license? Frick's Driving School in Mishawaka makes it easy with the Indiana State Driving Exam in-house for just $65. No formal driver's education is required. You might even get to drive with Pat King. Who wouldn't want that? I don't know. You just have to be 16 years and 270 days old, which is like 9 months, and have held an Indiana learner's permit for at least 180 days, which is like 6 months. Frick's provides the vehicle. You just have to bring yourself, a can-do attitude, and a ride to and from the office. The exam takes only about 20 minutes, and you can walk out with your official Indiana driver's license, which we're like the only state that calls it an operator's license for some reason. To schedule, you can call 574-256-0650 or visit fricksdrivered.com. If you're nearing retirement and need to get your money right, and you know what, heck, even if you're not approaching retirement and you still want to get your money right for retirement, call the Harbor Group Planned Wealth. They can help you retire with confidence, especially if you have questions like, what specific steps should I take before retiring? When should I draw Social Security? How do I manage investment risk? How much will health insurance cost if I retire? If I'm over 62, which I am not, but if you are, how much money can you earn part-time without it affecting Social Security and or pension? And is it really possible to get a raise if I retire? If you want all those questions asked and probably many more questions answered, you can call the Harbor Group at 765-393-1074, or you can visit them online at harborgroup.com. Securities and advisory services are offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor. Member FINRA SIPC.
We are trying to get Chris on the phone. You've got some amateurs here technology-wise, and my son is literally at the hospital right now with his wife trying to have a baby. So we are doing amateur hour here trying to get some technology taken care of and so forth. But let's
a little bit our coverage of high school basketball this coming Saturday. We'll actually have two crews working games this weekend. John Overmeyer and I will be at the Great Western Forum for the 3A and 4A games. We'll have St. Joe and Columbia City in the 3A game, and in the 4A game, it'll be Riley and Warsaw. 1 o'clock tip-off on the St. Joe game pregame show at 12:30 on broadcastsport.net, and then following that, we'll have the Riley-Warsaw game, 4 o'clock tip-off with the pregame show at around 3:30. also on broadcastsport.net, which will direct you to the IHSA Champions Network. So we look forward to a great day of basketball. And, of course, Daryl Yaw will be over at Triton for the Jimtown Westview game, which I believe is also a 4 o'clock start, if I'm not mistaken, on Saturday afternoon in the beautiful metropolis of Bourbon, Indiana.
There you go. Well, one of the things we could do right now.
I mean, here's what I want to ask you. I want to ask you this.
Let's go ahead.
The conference breakdown for the NCAA tournament bracketology. Okay. The bracketologist, Joe Leonardo, SEC teams, 13.
Okay. I thought it'd be more than that.
Seriously?
Mm-hmm.
Seriously?
I think we've got 10 of them in the top 20.
The Big 10, 10 teams.
Wow.
I think that's generous, but okay.
Big 12, 8 teams.
They've got 18 teams.
Big 12, 8 teams.
It's special, that's for sure. If you're not one of those big conferences, how's the ACC this year?
ACC 3 teams.
Yeah, that's like I said, I mentioned that you get past Duke and so forth. That's about it.
Mountain West 3 teams. Big East 5 teams.
I'm surprised because if you go 5 teams, you're talking St. John's, Marquette, Xavier, Creighton, and UConn. Maybe that's legit. ACC, Duke is 1. How many did you say? Duke,
3.
Louisville, Clemson. That means you're cutting out Wake. You're cutting out Carolina.
Yeah, no, I don't know.
So are they the bubble teams? SMU, are those the bubble teams? Are they going to have to do well to get into the tournament?
I want to bring up a point to you, Heck, because you got the chance to live it as somebody who had the opportunity to be a coach at a mid-major. For these, we're seeing on the TV screens here, you got Wolford and Furman playing tonight for the Southern Conference Championship. You got St. Mary's, Gonzaga, and all them. As a mid-major, when you guys were playing in the tournament back in the 80s at Ball State, for the people at home, how much of a motivation was it to play these teams that would never want to play you to begin with? Because this is really for the schools like the St. Mary's, the Gonzagas, the Ball States. This is their moment in the sun to show people, hey, we're good enough on a neutral floor that we can compete with anybody.
Well, I mean, first of all, I don't know, and I don't know why you would play those teams if you're from the MAC, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what your record is. The only thing that matters if you're in the MAC is if you win the conference tournament.
You got to win the conference championship.
It doesn't. I mean, you could beat Duke, you could beat Michigan, you could beat Michigan State, and then lose the conference tournament. You're not getting in.
You're getting the NIT, yeah.
Yeah, because they're only taking one. And I fought that war forever. We were in. I was there for 4 years, and we were in the NCAA twice, and we were in the NIT twice. The 2 years we were not in the NCAA, we got beat in the conference championship game, but we had 23-24 wins.
Right.
And I mean, I fought that for a long time.
Let me ask you this on the flip side then. Okay, let's say you're at Ball State. You have 24 wins and you don't make the tournament. Okay.
Yeah.
If you're a Power 5 school, shouldn't you be required to go to some of these places? Let's say Ball State is 24-4. Okay, and let's say we'll just throw X school out there that's like 19-10. The 24-4 school. Oh, I'll finish my thought real quick. The 24-4 school like Ball State should be able to host a Kentucky, a North, because if you're a Power 5 school and you don't make it the NCAA tournament, you should have to go play at places like the MAC or the Southern Conference or the Missouri Valley places.
Yeah, that ain't happening, man.
But you see what I'm saying.
I see what you're saying. We got the great Chris Benedict on the line here.
Oh.
Benny, what's up, man?
Well, Coach, I'm just trying to figure out this technology. At our SAC, first time I did a Zoom all-conference ballot, and I was getting laughed at because, everybody under 40 was already in the Zoom before I got in. And did all that, so.
Yeah, but aren't you a math teacher? Don't you know technology?
I don't. Like back when I was doing math, we had a chalkboard and chalk. So.
Oh, that is so. I thought I was bad, man. Oh, hey, listen, I don't care how long it took you to get on. Well, I mean, we are so happy to have you on, man, to talk about your basketball team. I mean, Carroll of Fort Wayne, the Chargers. you're 11 and 12 maybe
11
going
and 15,
into the tournament.
Coach. 11 and 15.
I mean, going into the sectional tournament, you're 11 and
yeah.
No, you're 9 and 14 or 9 and 15 going in, right?
Yes, 9 and 15 going in.
Doesn't matter now. You're 3-0 right now, right?
2-0. We're lucky to have one of those 4-team sectionals.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
2-0 sounds all right too now.
Yeah, I'm good with it.
That means you're still practicing this week, right?
Exactly. It gives you an opportunity to. I told our kids before this week started, March is kind of crazy. I've been on both sides of this. 1 year at Columbia City, we were kind of in the same kind of a boat and got on a roll at the right time and was 6 points away from the final game. Got beat by Muncie South in the Final Four. And it was also one of my first or second years of coaching at Wapahani. We were 19-3 and Jay County had won 1 and we get beat in the sectional final. So been on both sides of it. I mean, it's just March is a crazy time of year and anything can happen. Get your kids playing well at the right time and get them to believe a little bit. Anything can kind of happen. So played really, really well this past weekend, obviously against Snyder and Northrop to win a sectional championship, and always excited to do that and just happy for our players to stay through the grind of the entire season. You tell your guys they're getting better as the year goes on, but sometimes with kids, it's hard for them to believe that unless they see the results on the scoreboard. So just getting them to stay with it and stay the course and stay the process all the way through, and then be able to kind of finish it off last weekend to win a sectional championship. It was fun to see those kids go through that process.
Coach, I had a chance to actually see you guys back in November. We came over there and did the Penn Carroll game.
Okay.
And that was kind of a very low score, and it was early in the season. But
right.
How have you guys grown from early in November to where you're at today?
Well, again, I think we've been a team that has been Paxton Crane, our inside player, is 6'7". He's averaging a double, 17 points a game, 11 rebounds a game.
He's good.
70% from the field. He's just very efficient.
Yeah.
And getting guys to buy into throwing the ball inside each and every time down the floor and finding ways to get him open. And then how do you play off of that? And I think now we're starting to learn how to play off of him a little bit. And I think as you go through that, it's a difficult process to kind of get your teams to kind of figure out the way you've got to play against really, really good people to be successful. And sometimes maybe it's not real sexy, but it's what you've got to do to be successful. And getting them to kind of figure that out and go through some of those tough losses. And our schedule is very, very demanding. Played a lot of teams that won sectional championships, played a lot of teams that's been ranked in the top 20 all year long. Just, I think, hardened us a little bit to try to figure out exactly what you got to do on both ends of the floor to be successful.
Yeah, I'm looking at your schedule. I don't see a layup on this schedule at all. There are no layups on here.
No, there's not. Back when I was at Columbia City and Carroll, it was in the NHC with us. I told our AD, I was like, I've got to win the NE8 to go 500. I've got to win that conference to go 500. Those are our non-conference games. So, the Summit League obviously is very, very demanding with Homestead, Lures, Fort Wayne, Snyder, Southside had a really good year. So you're just getting athleticism after athleticism every single night that you got to learn how to play against. And then, non-conference, you're playing Penn, you're playing Warsaw, you're playing Fishers, you're playing North Central. So, I think the schedule hardened us a little bit and got us prepared, hopefully for, obviously last weekend and maybe even, for next weekend that we're getting ready to play next Saturday.
Let me ask you this question, Chris, because being a former head coach myself and being able to put the schedule together. Now I know it's your first year at Carroll, so you really haven't had any input on scheduling or anything like that. But do you believe, if you were to put this schedule together yourself, would you have built in a couple of more games where maybe you didn't have to play your best to be successful on a given night if you could put the schedule together?
Well, I think, all the time you try to put yourself in a position to where you got at least 4 or 5 games you can win every year and be able to do some things in and give yourself some confidence as you're kind of building it. And again, like I said, building confidence with kids when you're losing is very difficult to do. Getting them to stay the course, getting them to come back into practice on Monday, getting them to do all those things. If I had my way, obviously we would schedule down a little bit just because it's year one. Now, I also like the flexibility of having 2-year contracts to be able to, when you have that really good team and it's coming, you're able to gear for that. At Columbia City, I was able to do that and kind of gear your schedule when we knew we were going to have really good teams coming, we would gear up and make sure that we're playing those kind of teams to get yourself prepared for it. But yeah, you really only have an opportunity this year. You just didn't have any chances. The schedule was what it was. Our kids fought through it, battled through it. I think we're better because of it. I mean, I'm the first to admit that we're better because of it. But at the same time, it's hard as a coach to lose 15 games and still feel really good about what you're doing. And we do. I mean, and we did. The kids stayed the course, stayed with it. And, I keep telling them, you're getting better. You're getting better. Our scores of games were getting tighter. Our understanding of what possessions needed to look like on both ends of the floor to be successful. And a lot of times it's as you know, Coach, it's more about make sure Carroll doesn't beat Carroll. If Carroll doesn't beat Carroll, then you're going to have a chance. And early in the year, we were turning it over so much that we just really didn't give ourselves a chance to be in games, to be able to finish it off, especially against really good teams. And we've done a better job here lately of taking care of the basketball, making sure we've got to go inside with it, and then just competing hard defensively and rebounding on the defensive.
Yeah. So, and obviously, as you know, I mean, I could schedule anybody I wanted to schedule at the Wigwam because everybody wanted to play at the Wigwam.
Right.
And I got suckered in one year by your boss of all people, by your boss.
Yep.
I get the phone call in the spring. Hey, heck, it's Wayne. Blah blah blah, man. Our guys always want to play at the Wigwam, and could you get us in? And could we play this year? Well, Wayne, obviously, I mean, what kind of team you got, Wayne? Heck, we're going to be terrible. We're not very good, but we'll be competitive with you and all that stuff. But we just want to play at the Wigwam. And I said, okay, Wayne. So Wayne comes into the Wigwam. Terrible, really? I think they were undefeated, number 1 or 2 in the state.
Right.
And they shoot 78%. In the Wigwam, and if you're in my shoes now you got to explain why you're bringing Bluffton in and getting waxed by Bluffton. So there's a lot of different ways to go about it, man.
Right. Yeah, as you know, Coach, obviously in those kind of situations where you were at, I mean, sometimes those games mean a lot more to those kids at Bluffton than they did that particular night. You know what I'm saying, for your guys. And again, that's nothing against your guys, nothing against you. I mean, it's just that's their one shot, you know what I'm saying, to actually get on the floor like that and have that kind of notoriety or whatever. So, I mean, Wayne obviously has done a really, really good job and very fortunate, obviously, to play for you, Coach Bockert, and the guys that you influenced to get into this, and the guys I still call my really good friends to this day. Happy for Joe. Joe's done a tremendous job at Mount Vernon, and my goodness, what he was able to do this week. So, it's fun to still be in this business, still fun to do it. Still have an extreme amount of passion to do it. Just happy for our guys that they kind of stayed with the course and had the opportunity to win a sectional, to kind of set the tone to kind of, how it kind of continues to move forward. And again, like now, from our standpoint, there's no pressure on us. I mean, we just go play. We're playing Homestead, who's our big rival in our backyard in the regional. So, they're going to be up for that game. It's going to be a highly contested, competitive game. Chris Johnson does a great job. They've got a great program. If we're fortunate enough to get through that, then we got the possibility of playing maybe Warsaw again, as we've already played. We got a possibility of playing Fishers that we've already played. So there's some familiarity there with what we've done, but at the same time, you've got to go out and you got to perform. Coach, you got to put it on the line.
Coach, I was going to say, one of the things that impresses me about watching basketball from the Fort Wayne schools is just the amazing talent that seems to come there. And the talent in Northeast Indiana is really something. I've been very impressed by what I've seen.
It's they're in the SAC. I mean, there's a lot of really good individual players in the SAC, and there's a lot of really good coaches in the SAC. It's a shame that not everybody gets to get out. You know what I'm saying? There's from this year, there's 2 of us that got out in the Fort Wayne area. You got Lures that's going to get out in 2A. You got Blackhawk that gets out in 3A. So, but in the there's just a lot of really good individual talent that is there, and you've just got to be able to harness yours. Make sure that you get a system put into play that gives your kids a chance night in and night out to be successful. And then, as you know, if you get it in the final 2 minutes, final 3 minutes of a game, then it's about who can make plays at the right time. And there's no shortage of guys in Fort Wayne that can make plays. People will always kind of talk about the way that our style of play and kind of what we do. It puts us in a position to win, but at the same time, it also, when you only got to make one possession, and you got the athlete can go make that one possession when he needs to. And sometimes you get burnt by that because of that. But you've got to be efficient. You got to be efficient on both ends of the floor. We're getting much better at that, which has enabled us to win this past weekend and give us an opportunity to play again this weekend.
When you always talk about your teams, man, I mean, your teams are always going to guard. You're giving up 49 points a game, and you're under that magic 50 mark. And I look at your scores. I mean, you're holding some people to 28 to 29, points a game. So talk about your team defensively this year. Are you manning? Are you zoning? Are you junking it up any?
I'll tell you, Coach, I was fortunate to get Adam Gray hired on as my varsity assistant, and Adam has been with Marty Beasley, who was with me a while at Columbia City, and then he was also with Craig Teagle for a while. So those guys have went to like some switching man, and playing with you, obviously you man up, you guard your guy, and if you can't keep him in front of you, then we're not playing no cowboy zone or any of that. But like Adam's done a great job with our switching defenses. And there's times in midway through the season where I'm turning around looking at him because I've not been a coach that switched a lot. So there's been times I've turned around and looked at him. Is there a way that we make sure that our 5'8" guy's not on their 6'8" guy? I mean, there's got to be a rule to make sure that they can switch back. But Adam's done a tremendous job with our defense this year. He has got our guys locked in to where they know what's expected night in and night out. He does a great job of scouting and preparing what the other opponent's going to do, what kind of actions they're going to run, and we drill that day in and day out in practice so they kind of know what's going to happen. So there's really no surprises for us. So that part of it has been really, really good. I think they've really kind of understood the amount of being able to stop penetration. Today's game is so much about penetrate and kick, getting to the rim, getting all the way to the rim or kicking it out for a three. We've done a really good job of being able to stunt early, get the ball out of that ball handler's hands. And then, we've been doing a really good job of moving when the ball's in the air and being there by the time it's caught and forcing them to shoot some tough perimeter shots. And then we've been able to rebound that first defensive rebound. So that's gave us a chance to be successful night in and night out and give us an opportunity to do that. And now we're just becoming more efficient offensively, which has really helped us, kind of get some wins here and there.
Coach, hey, here's my big question. I want you to hit the rewind button to last Monday. You're talking all these X's and O's and stuff like this. I want to know what you did Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday mentally with your players. Here, like we said, you've got a team of 9 and 15. Mm-hmm. You're getting ready to play two teams I'm guessing both beat you during the season. So you've got rematches.
Yep.
What magic words did you tell these kids that convinced them that they had a chance to win 2 ball games and win a sectional on Saturday night?
Well, the big thing is, again, we just kept telling them all year long, stay the course, stay the course, stay the course, stay with what we're doing. It's going to pay off in the end. You've just got to continue to believe in what's going on. And I think, the big deal, we played Homestead on a Friday night, got beat. It was a fairly close game until the end. They kind of pulled away and spurted away at the end. And then the next day we played North Central and beat North Central at home. And I think that kind of opened our guys' eyes up. Like, if we just really take care of the basketball, we got a chance. Okay. And, I think that they kind of knew that they didn't play particularly well against Northrop the first time. Fort Wayne Snyder, the first time we played them, they jumped out and scored 29 in the first quarter, hit a lot of shots early. We spotted them, we spotted them 13 and ended up getting beat by 12. So it's kind of just like you're right there if you just eliminate some certain things. And again, get to that point to where Carroll's not beating Carroll. If we don't turn it over, we don't give them opportunities to spurt out and transition. We make them work every single time down the floor. We're going to have an opportunity to be okay. And then again, I just think, Paxton, our senior leader, and Tyler Morris, we have 2 seniors, but Paxton is just so consistent that he just made it, he was scoring about every bucket for us and getting every rebound in the first half against Snyder. And then finally in the fourth quarter, we were getting great looks. We just weren't knocking any down. And then the fourth quarter, we hit 4 threes. And that just kind of opened the floodgate up, and everybody just kind of took a breath of fresh air, and things kind of just rolled in for us from that point in time. And then once we won on Friday night, we're playing at home. We're playing a team that had just beaten us that we felt like we could have gotten the first time and didn't. So guys were hungry to play that night. So it was really good. And again, we're going into this week against, again, a team that's our rival that is somebody we want to beat every single year. It's the IU Purdue. It's whatever you want to call it. It's Homestead Carroll. So, our guys are going to be up for that game. They're going to be excited in that game. They're going to be ready to play that game. Now it's just going to come down to execution.
Now, let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
The location, you've got to go over to Logansport to play that, which is interesting. So it takes any kind of home court advantage from anybody away, playing anywhere there in the neighborhood.
Right.
So the fans are going to have to make an effort to get there.
Right.
I would think, just off the top of my head, that has to go. I would think that'd be in your favor.
Well, again, from our standpoint, our guys are at that point to where, at this point in time, they're, Coach Punter used to always say when it was Valpo in 2 years, like there's no cupcakes left. You know what I'm saying? When you get to this level, there's nobody left that's just going to roll over and let you do what you want to do. Right. So, our guys are going to fight. They're going to compete. We may not win the game, but we're going to compete. We're going to come there. We're going to show up. We're going to do what we've got to do to try to be successful. It's the matter of now, can we make enough baskets to make sure that we stay in rhythm with what's going on in that game, and can we then find ways to finish it off at the end? I mean, there's not going to be a situation where I think that where somebody lays down. That's not going to happen at this juncture in the season. So we're telling our guys, like, there's pressure's not on you, man. The pressure's on them, right? They beat you earlier. They're second in the SAC. You're down the road a little bit. They've got a 21-5 record. You don't. I mean, like, pressure's on them. You go out and play loose, play to your strength, play aggressive, and just kind of go have a lot of fun. And right now, our guys are having a lot of fun in practice.
Let me ask you this question, man. You give up 29 points in a quarter. What'd you say to Coach Gray?
Well, I said, now they don't normally hit all these threes they're hitting, but man, they are knocking some down tonight. And that was not a fun night. Obviously, quarter one was not a good quarter for us. Again, we turned it around a little bit in the second half and got close a couple times. I think we cut it to 8 at one point in time. It's just too. I mean, you know how it is, Coach. You get in those situations. You can't just keep climbing uphill all the time. You got to find a way to, like, shorten that a little bit to where you can go downhill a little bit. But that night was just a little bit too much to overcome. This time we didn't let them get away from us. We just tied. We were tied at half, maybe even up 1 at half, and then I think we were up 2 at the end of the third quarter, and then we started making threes in the fourth, and then the floodgates came open. So we just, again, it's about just playing well at the right time. And right now, our guys have some confidence with some things that we're doing. They know that they can go inside and get a basket with Paxson when we need to. And we've just got to find ways to have some perimeter guys. Jack Van Order had a really good week for us. Miles Herring hit some big shots in the Snyder game for us. Monzer Omar came off the bench and did a really, really good job. We're starting a freshman point guard. He did a great job of handling it, hit our first 8 points in the Northrop game in the championship. So just we're kind of hitting on all cylinders right now. We've just got to kind of ride that wave as long as we can.
All right, so listen, man, I need you to talk to Wayne for me because, as you know, I got elected into the Hall of Fame, which is amazing for me. With all the great people that are in, and we have the banquet coming up on March 19th, and I got to do a speech for 3 minutes, right? I got to stay within 3 minutes. So I go to Joey's game on Friday, drive to Muncie, watch him play Anderson, and I'm driving back Friday night. So I'm thinking, I'm going to practice my speech here. I'm going to put a clock on, and I'm going to practice my speech, and I'm going to see how close I am to 3 minutes. I started. I hit the stop button when I'm done. I'm at 22 minutes and 30 seconds.
I thought you wouldn't be done until you got in your driveway.
No, what would you advise me to do? Ask Wayne if they can give me a couple more minutes, man.
Yeah, it's always hard, I'm sure, Coach, when you're in those settings because as long as you've been in it, you're very well deserving, no doubt about it. But you're thankful for everybody that's been along with it, and you don't want to leave anybody out and all those kind of things. But all of us that's been a part of it with you, Coach, knows that you don't need to mention any of that. You just enjoy your time. You get your 3 minutes in and say what you want to say.
Well, here's what I'm thinking. There's 4 or 5 guys that are deceased. So who's taking their 3 minutes, right? I'm going in and I'm telling them to, hey, I got his 3 minutes, 9
minutes.
Yeah. And by the way, I got it down to about 9 minutes.
There you go.
I think that's what I'm going with, man.
Okay. Well, I'm
Coach,
sure that you'll be fine.
I wanted to ask you, going back to your team a little bit, you started a freshman point guard. What's the biggest challenge that you faced when he was given the starting point guard job, considering he had gone from playing 8th grade basketball, now he's playing on the varsity with kids that maybe a couple years older than him, maybe a little bit stronger than him. What did you kind of say to him to kind of ease him into the position?
Well, we started him on the JV early. We moved him up about in the Homestead tournament on day 2.
Okay, and
we're struggling a little bit. Yeah.
Who is this?
Carter Middleton. Carter Middleton is his name. So Carter is, I think, early in the year. He was when I told him he was going to play JV, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, look, if I know you're going to play 18 to 22 minutes a night, I'll move you up right now, and that's where you'll be. I just don't know that I can guarantee you those minutes right now. So you need to get minutes. You need, again, you played 8th grade basketball. It's totally different. So Carter did a great job in those early games on the JV, and then we were just struggling a little bit. Had lost 4 in a row, and I just said, let's see what he can do. I mean, put him out here. It's a consolation round of the Homestead tournament where you're playing 4 games in 2 days. We put him in. He looked like he belonged, and it enabled to move another guy off the ball because we were having, Miles was handling it and Miles was having to log a lot of minutes. Miles is a little bit, I would call Miles a lot like Mark Jackson. He kind of backs you down. Okay, he gets the job done, but it takes him a little while to get it there. But Carter's got a little bit more, a little more fluidness to him with ball handling wise to get it to where it's got to go. But Miles is strong and sees the floor really, really well. And this other part of it is I needed Miles to score a little bit. I need Miles to shoot the basketball a little bit. So moving him off the ball has kind of helped a little. And then you've got 2 point guards on the floor. But Carter's big thing I told him is like, look, if I make this change, we're doing it, and we're going to stay with it, and you're going to just battle through some of the things. You're going to have some nights where you're really, really good. You're going to have some nights where you're going to go through some struggles. And a lot of the struggles, I want you to, if you're struggling because of physicality, that's one thing. If you're struggling because you lose confidence, you're struggling, but that's on me. If you lose the ball because of physicality or someone's just quitting, whatever, that's part of the deal. That's just part of getting. You just got to learn how to play through some of those things. But from my end of it, I trust the fact that you're going to get us into the stuff that we need to get into. You've got to take care of it. You got to be a coach on the floor. And Carter's one of those kids that always is asking questions. Coach, am I doing this? Where do you want me on this? What do you want to run next? What should we go here? So he's always in that communication mode with me, which helps me as, to relay what I want done on the floor. So he's done a really, really good job. And, he's taken the reins, and it is very difficult as a freshman at this level to play, but he's done a tremendous job, kind of steadies the force with a little bit. And again, it allows Miles to do multiple things, allows him to score from the perimeter a little bit more than what he was. And it also takes that burden off of him of having to handle it 32 minutes every single night. It gives him somebody else to alleviate some of that pressure. So I think it's made us better. I think it's made both of them better. And it's enabled us then to kind of just, kind of get our offensive flow going a little bit better than what it was early in the year.
Hey, Chris, listen, man, thanks for taking a few minutes to talk about your basketball team. And through your 33 years, man, you're just an outstanding basketball coach. You were an outstanding player. You played hard every single time you were on the court. I think back, you were maybe a $130 when you played?
Not anymore, but yes, back then I was, yes. I think you listed me my freshman year at 155. I don't think I got to that until I was like 40, but
but
I've made up for it quick.
But anyway, I mean, you're just a great high school basketball coach, and we'll be looking at that scoreboard on Saturday and wishing you and the Chargers the best, man.
I appreciate it, Coach. Thanks for having me on. And again, just the number of guys that you've influenced on Coach Barker. I mean, I couldn't go through it without the guys that have been there for me, and it's just been a great kind of run to kind of be a part of this. And as you know, like there's so many of our guys that kind of played for you or played for Coach Bacher that kind of have that little mix, and then Paul Keller came in after that at Wapahani. There's just a lot of guys in that Wapahani connection that really kind of, understood what the game was about and how they can give back. And I still enjoy doing it. And a lot of it has to do with your influence. I appreciate it.
All right, man. Thanks and good luck this Saturday.
Good luck, Coach. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate having me on. Thanks.
Take care.
That is a great Chris Benedict, and he was just a very cerebral young player and a very good player. Are we close to getting Jimmy King by any chance?
I think we can.
Got him on there.
Let me see what town he is in today. find out here. Jimmy King, welcome, buddy. How are you?
What's going on, Coach?
I'm doing great. Hey, okay, it's still daytime where you are. What you on an airplane or what are you doing?
No, I'm in the great state of Texas, enjoying this beautiful weather. It's making up for the bipolar weather we had last week. It was quite cold, felt like the Midwest, but right now, enjoying this beautiful bright sunshine, and the weather's pretty good. So it's about 75, 73 degrees.
Sounds good to me. Hey, I've got Coach Hecklinski here on one side here in the green, and Kenny Peterson, who's a newspaper guy that does radio with me on football games. So
What's going on, fellas?
That's
how you doing?
But
Good, how are you?
We got Jimmy King with us. Jimmy, actually, long time ago, we won't say how long ago it was fortunate or unfortunate enough to have me as a coach back in high school for a couple of years.
Fortunate.
Yeah, we'll go with that. Appreciate it.
Well, I didn't know this. Looking up his Wikipedia page, he was born here in South Bend. I did not know that.
That's right. SBI till I die.
There you go, SBI.
I'm a Notre Dame kid by heart, of course. I grew up in the backyard.
Well, let's just go this way because Heck went to St. Joe in the 70s, so he's always talking about Ricky King and all these other King names.
That's my uncle.
Yeah, Ricky. So Ricky King, back at Riley High School, back in the middle 70s. Yes. Ricky King was a bad boy. Ricky King was the smoothest, silkiest player I ever saw play back in that time, with a guy named Turk Chambliss, a guy named T.D. Shelton. Those guys were amazing, man.
Turk is like my uncle.
There you go. Hey, now, and your dad played at Central back in the 60s.
Central.
Is that right?
Absolutely. Central, the great famed Central High School, South Bend, Indiana. That was also a part of that the Central team that we remember in the movie Blue Chips, that played the team in Blue Chips. That Central team was from that same school.
Now, was he a teammate with Michael Warren? Was he that same time period? I can't remember.
Michael Warren. Yep, he was just under them, just behind Mike Warren and those guys.
So if you would have stayed in South Bend, you would have been a Riley Wildcat more than likely.
I either would have been I would probably went to Riley or Washington.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Jimmy King played for Jimmy Powers back in the 60s.
There you go.
55 career points for Jimmy. Yeah.
Talking about your pop.
Yeah.
So Jimmy,
what got you to Texas, man?
Well, at a young age, my father's job was transferred. He worked for Indiana Bell, and his job was being transferred. So we had a choice of going to either Dallas or Denver, and we chose Dallas because it was closer to South Bend. That's how we ended up in Dallas.
That's amazing. That's great.
So let's just reminisce a little bit. You played at Plano East, and one of the things that people don't understand, but when you came through in the middle and late 80s, Texas was going through a real changeover in people like us moving down from the Midwest. Texas basketball was still really in the dark ages in the early 80s.
Yep.
And you and the generation of players that came through at your time period really were the ones that changed things in Texas. And I was part of that. And if you think about it, the group that you played with at Plano East, I had coached part of them over at Bowman Middle School.
Yep.
And because we played you in the 8th grade city tournament, as I
Absolutely.
recall.
We talk about that all the time. The
I
guys
bet you
like
guys do.
Curtis Majors, Chip, we affectionately call Chip. We talk about that all the time. Guys that Elton Drake that played for you. We talk about how fortunate we were to have great coaching at a young age, and to fight for us, because again, not only was basketball kind of like a afterthought, it was guys in our communities weren't encouraged to play sports in general. Mm-hmm. So coaches like yourself that came along and gave us opportunities and chances, we talk about that all the time, and we wish that it wasn't that way, but we're glad that we're fortunate enough to have someone like you be an advocate and coach us in the formative years of our life.
Well, and you were lucky because then I moved over to Clark High School and ended up playing those guys and played against them. And you were you were in the red jerseys for Clark and they were in the blue jerseys. But and the thing that was so interesting was we were at schools that were 9th and 10th grade.
Yeah.
And as a sophomore, you were not allowed to go play varsity.
And
so,
it's real interesting today, and it's perfect that you brought that up, because a young man who's had a great career at, for instance, at Plano East, DJ Hall, he was able to play 4 years at Plano East and ultimately broke my career scoring record. But there's no asterisk, that goes along with that, because we weren't able to play freshman and sophomore year. So the record that he broke was really a 2-year record.
Yes.
And so the opportunities, I'm glad that guys are able to have coming up behind us, because that's how it should be. You should have if you're talented enough or able enough to play varsity at even 8th grade, if you're able to. But definitely as a freshman and sophomore, we didn't have those opportunities. So
right.
So yeah, it was a different time, and that's kind of shed light on how different it was and how they viewed sports.
It was just a different time period, that's for sure. Hey, let me ask you this, because I did not see you play much, if at all, as a junior and senior. You came to Michigan and played at Michigan. What other schools? I remember you talked about Kansas recruited you very heavily. What other schools recruited you as a junior and senior there at Plano East?
It was all of them, Coach.
You had them all? Okay.
Yeah, I had them all. Because I was coming up pretty fast. Dallas was known for having a lot of talent, and I was making a name for myself, and I was doing a lot of traveling around the state.
Right.
Because also the rules back then too, we weren't able to travel out of state. We weren't able to play in other tournaments like other blue chippers or guys that had the same opportunity. So yeah, it was a little different.
I agree. And when you came through, Dallas Skyline had a guy named Larry Johnson.
Yep.
South Oak Cliff had Spud Webb.
Yep.
And those are some of the names that as you were coming through junior high, those are the people that we were talking about. And then then you go to Michigan, and that was the first game I think coming out that I remember was your first Duke game in December, because Duke was defending champion. They had just beaten UNLV the year previous. And then here you guys were on a Saturday afternoon on CBS. And I think 4 of you started, I think, that game. And here you are playing. Duke comes to Michigan to play.
But Coach, the funny thing about that is that was the only game that was scheduled to be televised that year. We only had that preseason game with Duke, and I think we had one other game in the Big Ten season, and I think it was against Indiana. That was it. But after we played Duke and took them into overtime and almost beat them, every game that we had was on television after that.
Well, your freshman year, I remember I came to Ann Arbor. I saw your IU game, but the first game all 5 freshmen played, trivia, which our first 5 when all 5 started, I believe was here in South Bend.
That's right. It was hometown. It was Notre Dame. It was
here in South Bend.
And here's the story behind that. So when I was being recruited, to answer your question about being recruited too, I was recruited by all the schools. I could have went anywhere. Between Michigan and Notre Dame, when Michigan found out that I, was from South Bend, and South Bend or Notre Dame found out that, I was heavily considered Michigan, and they were in my top 5, and I took official visits there. They wrote in the contract, because the rivalry had kind of fell off in basketball, and so they will redo the rivalry, and whichever team that I chose would have the away game. So since I chose Michigan, we had to play Notre Dame my freshman year on the road, and if I would have chose Notre Dame, then we would have played Michigan on the road.
Okay.
So with that being said, there's a lot of, history behind that game, and of course being home, having all my family there, my grandmothers, cousins, aunties, brothers and sisters, everybody, mom and dad. So it was really special, and for all 5 of us to really start there and score every point for the game was also special.
74-65 at the Joyce Center.
Yep.
So why did you end up going to Michigan and not Notre Dame?
Well, Notre Dame being home, again, that's, is great to play in front of your family, but I wanted to, kind of get away, but I didn't want to go too far because I still wanted my family to see me play and have that support. So I thought Michigan was a perfect kind of, answer to be close to home where, I'm right up 94, 2.5 hours, 3 hours, where my family could come see me, but yet far away enough where I could cut the proverbial umbilical cord and be on my own. And also, Michigan didn't promise me anything.
Really?
Michigan is the only school that didn't promise me or offer me anything.
So all the crazy stuff that we hear, they were the only ones that were straight up with you.
Correct. So that's why people, when people talk about, anybody taking money or doing anything, to that nature, I don't. That's why I haven't even said anything about it because it's not true. I know the truth, and the truth is that every school
took care of you.
Every school that came through there, they offered me an education. That's what they offered me. They didn't offer anything else.
Interesting.
Yeah. So Notre Dame didn't offer to take you to your favorite pizza place in South Bend?
Of course, but hey, that's home.
Which one is it? What's your favorite pizza place in South Bend?
Well, it's Barnaby's, of course.
There we go.
Barnaby's sounds, of course. Not like, come on.
There we go.
And Frankie's, which no longer exists. Yeah, and the Circle. Yeah, barbecue. So those were my spots.
Yeah.
Now,
Barnaby's, Frankie's, and the Circle.
Frankie's is back. So
yeah, Frankie's is back, but
it's back over by the King Center.
Yep.
So,
which affectionately I grew up on.
Hey, and I set him up on that because I remember when you were with the Pacers for just a few minutes. Yeah, they played an exhibition game up here in maybe 2001, whatever it was. All I remember is somebody walked in because you had to go, but one of your family members handed you a carryout and said Barnaby's.
Yeah.
You took a pizza on the bus with him back to the airport. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah,
we might need to think about
I had a box of pizza.
Yeah.
Yep, I had a box of pizza and some and like a carton of tips.
Yeah, I know exactly. So that's the fun stuff.
Talk about your pro career a little bit. How many years did you end up being in the league, and what was your experience like with it?
I played my rookie year in Toronto, and then I played in the CBA. Then I got called back up and played in Denver. Then I went back to the CBA. Then I went to Minnesota and back to the CBA. Then I went to.
You were in Europe for a little bit, weren't you?
Huh?
Did you enjoy playing in Europe at all? You were over there for a little bit, weren't you?
Yeah, I went to Poland for a while, and I went to South America.
Okay.
I was in South America for a couple of years. South America was nice.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like a paid vacation.
So I got to ask you, Jimmy, what was it like going to college in Michigan with the Fab Five and all the celebrity and notoriety that you guys got? That had to have been one of the most amazing experiences of your life, being a part of that group.
It was great because, not only did we change like college basketball and really the game and how it's played and especially the aesthetics and the look it was just something special that, when you're living in it and you're going through it, you don't know how special it is. You kind of look at it like, oh, this is how it's supposed to be, or this is what this is what I envision. So therefore it is. But when you look back, the impact that we had and the things that we accomplished, really stand true to this day. So really, it's something that's one in a million, one in a billion that we haven't seen before and hasn't been duplicated. But deeper than that, is the relationships and the friendships that I have with guys that I went in the trenches with, my brothers, with Juwan and with Jalen and with Ray and with Chris and that whole team, even Rob Palinka. I spoke with just last week, and he reminded me, because I'm like, because I know how busy he is and what he has going on in his life, and he was like, bro, we've been in the trenches. I know you. I understand your character. I know who you are. So that just reminds me of the things that the things that we went through and forged and fought with and fought through together that will never go away.
What are you doing now, Jimmy, for a career?
I help kids transition to high school to college. I have a sports recruiting firm called True Champions,
Nice.
TRU, no
Nice.
E, Champions, and we help kids, procure athletic scholarships. So we deal with, D1, D2, D3, NAIA, and JUCO, and it's really just, an educational platform to become recruitable and kind of dispel misnomers and also, educate families and athletes on, the proper way to handle this task, because
Right.
everything is one of one. Things may look similar, but they're never the same because everybody is different. Goals are different. What you want to major in, all of that. So you have to really treat it as one of one.
Yep, I just pulled up the website here just now, truechampions.com. Really great that you're doing this.
And I would think, Jimmy, with the landscape of recruiting changing almost daily right now, what you're doing has to be, even more important because, you hear these college coaches talking about where a high school athlete fits in their priority list, and it seems like it keeps going lower and lower and lower. And what some of the things you have to say to high school seniors and juniors now is a whole lot different than it was 2 or 3 years ago, because a lot of them are going to have to maybe go to JUCOs or go NAIA for a little bit or D2, and then go from there. So those are some of the things that I'm sure you're having to deal with yourself.
Yeah, it's different. It's different because you got kids that are out of school and they don't know, because and this is what it's coming to light now, but this is what I used to tell people back in the day, like, you think you have a 4-year scholarship. It's not. You sign a 1-year scholarship and you renew every year. So if they don't want to bring you back or something happens or, there's a discrepancy, now they could just look in the portal and replace you. So it's almost like professional sports where, instead of them being assured that you're going to graduate and we got you for 4, even 5 years, it's like, oh, well, hey, you might want to look somewhere else, and because we need this position or this need filled right now. So that's what these kids are going through, and it's very tough. It's hard for them to really decipher and make a solid decision on where they're going to be for the next 3, 4, 5 years.
And it looks like here, just looking at the website here, you've got some folks that really help you out. Melissa Sampe and Isaiah Beauchamp. You three work together in this.
Absolutely. Those are my partners. We've been doing it for over close to 10 years now, and we've helped over hundreds of kids. And, we're looking to grow because we have the capacity to help thousands. And that's it. That's the reason why we started it. Isaiah approached me. We were coaching. I was the administrator over a program in Detroit, and he was one of the coaches, and we stayed in contact and stayed friends, and I respect him tremendously, and he has a brilliant mind and came up with the concept, and you know, everything you see is built from scratch. It's, you know, everything is self-made.
Most of your contacts in Detroit started with Isaiah, didn't they?
Yeah.
And the ideas. Now you were out in L.A. what, 2 weeks ago? What's going on out in L.A. what was going on? You were hot.
Well, it was the All-Star.
I wrote you. It was All-Star weekend. I wrote you a note about you were big time in this. You had snuck in a picture with a couple of people. You and Jalen are still. You and Jalen hang out quite a bit, don't you?
Oh yeah, Jalen is my brother. As you know, I was about my backcourt running mate. You know, one thing about Jay and I is, you know, we're really one and the same. The only difference between us is, as you know, that he's going to say it, right? He's going to say it, and I'm going to internalize it. That's the difference between us.
He doesn't have much of a filter, does he?
Oh no filter at all. No filter at all. But when you pop my cork, though, I don't have a filter either.
I hear you. Now he's got a charter school there, and is it in Detroit or Ann Arbor area that he?
It's in Detroit. It's in Detroit.
Okay.
Yep. It's off of Trojan Road, right off of 8 Mile. In Detroit.
It's done very well for it. I mean, he's done really well with it, hasn't he?
He's done very well with it. I receive phone calls for people who want to model their school after Jalen, just try to get in touch with him to, you know, kind of, you know, see what he does and copy, you know, the school and what, you know, the steps they've taken to get to the level of success they've had by graduating, you know, like 98% of their kids, and their model is you know, like a 14-year model, so they don't stop after they graduate. It's really a 16-year model. So they follow them all throughout their college career and continue to help them, you know, gather resources to finish their education.
Hey, let me change topics. Were you still at Ball State when he was at Michigan?
Well, no. So when I was at Ball State, we played against Vegas in the Sweet 16, and Vegas had Larry Johnson, Stacey Augman. They had that really, really good team. Anderson Hunt.
You would have been junior or senior in high school.
Hey, Hunt. Well, it depends what year. So 90, I would have been a junior. 91, I would have been a senior.
This would have been 90, and Vegas beat us by 2 in the Sweet 16, and then Vegas went on to win the national championship. We had a couple of guys from Detroit, Paris McCurdy and Curtis Kidd, that had transferred from Little Rock, Arkansas. And we were really, really good. So when you mentioned Larry Johnson earlier,
right?
I remember being on the court and looking up at Larry Johnson and saying, "What a big man that guy is, man." Hey, how often do you get together with your guys? I mean, your guys from Michigan, do you guys get together once or twice a year?
Oh yeah, we were just together last year, all in Ann Arbor, to support Juwan at an Ohio State game. Really,
that's right, because you were supposed to be on my show. You were supposed to be here, and you canceled on me because I looked on TV, and there you were, sitting in the front row with your guys.
And that wasn't, and that's why, because it wasn't planned. It was just that's how it happened. It happened like in a couple of days, and so I had to cancel.
He canceled
I had to
on
take care of it. I had the guys called. I had to roll with the squad.
You had a better deal. Trust me, you had a better deal than being on this show. But listen,
what's supposed to be here?
What's Juwan doing now?
Juwan's coaching at Brooklyn Nets. He's assistant coach.
Is he really? Good for him, man. Good for him. I thought he did a good job in Michigan. He got sick a little bit and had to miss half of that season.
Yeah.
And then came back and it was kind of a struggle for him then.
All right. Well, hey. Talk to me about this year. So tell me about this new Michigan team. I mean, they're like rated what number? They're number 2 or 3 in the Big Ten tournament coming up. So
they've
done okay. So are you guys welcome? Is the new coach welcomed you guys back? Is the door open?
Oh yeah, the door's open. I've been there probably more times than I've been in the past couple of years. Yeah, because I've been it just happened that way. So yeah, since Dusty and the coaching staff have been on campus, I met with them, you know, 5, 6 times already, and you know, I've been to a couple of games, 3 or 4 games, and when I breeze through town, I always, you know, stick my head in, and I'm always welcome. And it's the same with the other guys. So, you know, they have our full support. We love what they're doing right now, being second in the Big Ten. Tough loss the other day to our rival, to the Sparties, but overall throughout the season, I'm pleased with what they're doing. And, you know, looking at it, really, realistically, this is the first year. It's the first time for adjustments, even being, you know, coming from their conferences, respective conferences, and coming to the Big Ten, because it is a different style, a different way of play. So I'm happy with their success. And the one thing I told them when they asked me, you know, what to expect is just be yourself. You know, don't worry about the style of Big Ten play. If you comfortable in the philosophy, which I know they are, run your style, run your philosophy, and be unapologetic about it. Because one thing about Michigan fans is they're going to support you when you're winning. So just win and stay loyal.
Baby.
Yeah, just win and be true to what and stay true to what you're doing, and everything else will fall into place. Don't worry about winning over the fans, because they're fickle. They're gonna boo you if they don't like what they see, but they're gonna cheer you if they think they like what they see. So just, you know, be unapologetic and go out there and do what you think you could do.
Sounds good to me. Hey, are you going to be in town this weekend? Are you going to be in Dallas? How long are you going to be in Dallas?
I'll be in Dallas. Yeah, I'll be in Dallas.
Because I will be in town Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Okay, cool. Let's get up.
I'm coming down that
way.
way.
Let's break bread.
If you notice, Scott is not here. Scott is at the hospital right now.
I know. He told me, yeah, congratulations, Grandpa.
His wife, yeah. So that's why we're coming down there to change some diapers this weekend.
Awesome.
So
you get a break, let me know. We grab lunch or something.
He is he's got a house over toward Denton in a little town called Corinth, right off of 35.
Yeah, Corinth.
Just north of Lake Dallas, that area. So he's up in that area. So that's where I'll be. So that'll be my starting point. So when I get to town, I'll catch up with you maybe Friday, Saturday, and see what you're doing.
Cool, perfect, Coach.
All right. Hey, thanks, Jimmy, for taking some time to see us.
Thank you all. Good to see you anytime.
One last thing, guys. One last thing. Can we promote your page again? Your website, TrueChampions.com.
We'll put that.
Thank
on
you.
our link
And also too, I have an apparel line, and it's real simple, very easy. It's called Fab5.com. Go in there, get you some gear. We're about to start putting out some new apparel, and give me some fresh gear and liven it up a little bit. So check it out. Fab5.com.
Sounds good. Thanks, Jimmy.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Okay.
Appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, Joe. See you later.
All
okay.
Right. Man, what a great young man.
Yeah.
He's not young anymore.
He's 51.
Looks young to me, man.
That's what I'm scary. He was Mr. Basketball in '91.
Wow.
In Texas.
Wow.
And you just don't understand the things that the changes we went through. I was the first coach, and I got called in for this because I was the first coach in Plano to put 5 black kids on the floor. I was the I was the UTEP guy, Texas Western.
Oh yeah, you were.
They had never had 5 black kids on a basketball court.
Well, no, and you know, knowing
and because of basketball.
Well, no, I mean. And from your point of view, you put 5 ballers on the floor, man.
I didn't think anything about it.
No, I got 5 ballers here. These guys can go.
Yeah, I didn't think a thing about it, but that was just one of the things. And he was part of that, and Curtis Majors and all those other guys that he ended up playing at Plano East, and they had a great time. So, it's
you were the Don Haskins
of talking with Jimmy.
Of Plano.
Yeah, and he and like I said, we've got some of his Fab Five stuff. He's got a whole line of stuff, and most of it all goes to charity and stuff for his business. So let's finish this up. I need to finish up with my road team of the week.
Yeah,
and we'll finish up with a couple little fun things there. Let me see here. We got to find it.
not need a tune-up. Sounds good.
There's my car. Well, listen, we had a big game this weekend, and I saw some of this. Alabama and Auburn played for a second time, and it was a rematch. This time it was at number 1 Auburn, and they go overtime, and Alabama wins on the road. They went on the road. Mark Sears hits a shot in the lane late in the overtime for a game winner, 93-91.
Wow.
And,
Great game.
People have been talking about rivalries. Right now, the Alabama-Auburn rivalry in basketball, not football, the basketball version of the Iron Bowl is pretty darn good. Pretty darn good. So that was my road team of the week. And to finish that off, and Scott was supposed to help me, but doggone it, he's not around.
Hey, his wife may be having a baby, man. Cut him some slack.
Maybe having your grandson.
Well, I guess I better not say too much because you guys have been picking on me about my stuff. All right, so I got one stupid play of the week, and then we can go home. How's that?
The dumb donkey of the week.
Back. All right. Saturday night, we're going in NBA. NBA. Pacers are down in Atlanta. Pacers are down 3. 12 seconds left.
No.
Pacers come down the floor. They get they run their plays. Pass the ball to Pascal Siakam, wide open, goes in for a layup, basket with 2 seconds left. They're still down 1.
Yeah, hey, Pascal, they're letting you drive the ball to the basket.
It was wide open. It looked like Moses parting the seas.
They're letting you.
Wide open. I mean, literally, guys got out of his way.
Well, and maybe he had 998 points. Who knows? Maybe that's his 1,000th point. Who knows why some people do the things they do? Because, there were games in sectional championship games where threes beat the teams. And there's always that method or theory: foul them before they take the shot and block out on the rebound.
That's exactly what Chuck Freeby was talking, and his crew was talking a little bit about before Justice from Warsaw hit that shot to send it to overtime.
The people were really upset the other night. They're the Pacers.
Yeah, and they should have been. And they should have been because those guys are making millions. Those coaches are making millions. Yeah. I don't know if the Pacers had a timeout and they drew up a play, but at the end of the game, I mean, you're 3 down, you're 2 down. And now if you take that layup with 7 or 8 seconds left, it's a different deal. Right. Because now you can foul and get into that foul, make, miss deal, and then maybe come down and take the 3.
Right.
But when you take that layup with 1 or 2 seconds, it's over.
Right.
I agree.
All right, man, let's wrap this up. Been a good show tonight. We've had a couple of great guests. Chris Benedict, really, when you listen to Chris Benedict talk basketball, he makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
And when you listen to Jimmy King talk about anything, he makes a lot of sense.
It was fun having him on. It was worth the time sticking around, wasn't it?
It was wonderful.
He was going to come around here. So we've got regional action this weekend.
Yep. John Alpia, Washington.
Yep. And you guys are going to ball games, and I'm going to Texas.
Yeah. No, you're going to Texas, man.
Now, next week we will be at my house because it is St. Patty's Day, and the linebacker is kind of busy, so they don't have room for us. But we will be here at 6:30 at the King Mansion.
Yeah, and we'll talk high school regional championships. Well, by then we'll know bracketology, what the NCAA tournament is doing. We'll have a better handle on the NFL free agency. We'll be wrapped up by next Monday, so we'll be able to get into some football and some things. But anyway, great show tonight, man. Be safe going to Texas. Don't get hijacked. Kenny, be cool.
Yes.
If you guys want me on halftime, give me a buzz. Let me know because I will be up at Washington.
Okay.
All right, man. Peace.